Hello Internet, I'm Walt Terrific and welcome to Real Life. I wanted to talk about the parts I put on my new Tuareg. I really want to do a review of the bike, but that's not what this video is. This is just talking about the parts that I put on it and my opinions on them. I have a lot to say, but I don't want this video to go too long, so I'll try to keep it all short. Some of the parts I bought, some were sponsored, but I chose all of the parts. It wasn't like, hey, do you want to put this on? I said, I want that, I want that. So the bike only has things on it that I want. I did cosmetic changes, but I'm not going to talk about those. This video is for those of you who are getting a Tuareg, have a Tuareg, and want to know my opinions on the aftermarket parts. I have a paper script in here somewhere because I'm using my phone for a camera for the first time. Usually I keep my notes on there, but now I got to go old school and read ink. Let's see here. Armor is first. So all of the armor is from T-Rex Racing. They provided the skid plate, and then they gave me discounts on the crash guards. Come on now. The crash guards, the hand guards, and the headlight guards. Those three parts were covered by Grumpy Pingu, so thank you to him. I want to shout him out again. So let's start with the skid plate. The skid plate is obviously important for an adventure bike, and while I haven't banged the crap out of it, I have banged it 3 good times where I went, whoa, I sure am glad I have that. Now, as far as skid plates go, it's a skid plate. It's just a thick piece of armor. But as it relates to this skid plate, I think it looks good. That's subjective. But it has an oil filter door, which is super cool. I don't know that any other skid plates for this bike have that. So crash guards, they're pretty big. I have seen bigger crash guards on this bike, and by bigger, I just mean wider with a bigger separation from the body. I think this is a good amount. There are tighter ones. This is somewhere in between. I like throwing my feet up on the highway. I don't think I need highway pegs because actually I don't have a center stand and I'm in the mud, so I can't put my weight on it. But I throw my legs up here. I'm not gonna say, hey, get these and use them as highway pegs, but I totally do. Con though, for some reason for me, my left knee specifically, half the time if I'm cruising, not like, you know, being active in town, my knee will just meet the crash bar on my left side. It's not like it's crowding my knee, I'm just barely touching it. So in the event of a crash, that's not where I wanna be. Handguards, they look great, work fine. I've never had to use them. I haven't dropped the bike since I've put stuff on. A couple other guys have ridden it, they have dropped it, nothing bad. And it did slow little crashes, nothing horrible. Headlight guard, so I think it looks good, and I apologize, I haven't cleaned the bike. It looks old, but this bike has maybe 2,000 miles on it. That headlight guard has held a lot of the muck in it. Let me take a look here. Yeah, it just needs to be cleaned. If it's not cleaned, it looks kind of cloudy. That is definitely my favorite looking headlight guard for this bike, and it does technically protect it better than like one of those black mesh grates would. Those look kind of cool, but I went with this one and I don't regret it. There's a lot of things on here that I've put on every single bike. They're must-haves, and I'll go over them at the end. But there are some new things, and the new thing, the thing I've never used before, is a quad lock. I realize they're really popular. The reason I didn't even want to bother is because you have to have a specific case on your phone. And I was like, I don't want to use a specific case. I like mine because it's a MagSafe. I can attach that external battery onto it, put my wallet onto it, mount it on magnets at home, in the car. It's super convenient. But when I realized that you apparently can use it the same way with your MagSafe system with the quad lock case, I was like, oh, my eyes were opened. This is the best case ever. Now I do switch cases sometimes, but because it wasn't an inconvenience for my ecosystem, I tried it with this bike. And I can't show you, I can't demonstrate because I'm using the phone as a camera, but the convenience of being able to go, it's on, it's charging, and it's not going anywhere. Done. And another thing I didn't realize, I like my phone mounted on my bike horizontally, but apparently if you need to, in some apps you have to have it vertical. You can mount it horizontal or vertical. I don't love it enough to go back on my other bikes and switch them over to quad lock. The Rammat X Grip works fine, but for this bike, when I need the phone to have power and I'm constantly taking it on and off when I'm doing DoorDash, that's just super awesome. Let's move on. I've been here for too long. There's so many parts. Top rack, oh boy. Let me take this case off here and show you, and I gotta move this out of the way. And the windshield, but I'll come back to this. So the first time I used a top rack was when I had my BMW R1200, and I didn't know any better. I thought, well, you know, hard cases are the most convenient. I'll do hard case everything. And I'm not saying they're bad, but now that I've had hard luggage and soft luggage, I have a combination of both. So let me get this out of the way. Is there something in here? I'll get the camera in closer for B-roll, but this top rack is by Perun Moto, and I chose this one because it mounts closer to the body than other ones. Usually they're away from the body by like 6 inches. And the reason they do that is to allow for rear seat room for a passenger, to which I say, what passenger? I want it closer to the bike because I want the weight localized as much as possible, and it looks better. If you look at the back, you can see that the tail light matches up with the top rack, whereas other ones extend beyond the brake light, and I think it's just too much. I love my soft luggage stuff. I love my nets. I love my versatile compact stuff. Usually the bike is more compact. I'll have this, a short windscreen, you know, but the versatility of this is amazing because in combination with a net or straps, you can put down anything back here or nothing. And then if you want to go to your top case for any reason, like if I'm hopping around town and getting groceries, done. Combine that with my awesome D-rings and a basic net. I'm moving on to nets now a little bit, but now I've moved that netting on the top rack to the front of the top case, and I can put stuff here too. So anyway, the top rack was given by Paramoto. Thank you very much. Another part that I've tried for the first time, double take mirrors. I've never had double take mirrors before. I've heard about them. I thought, yeah, whatever, they're mirrors, right? But now that I've had them, I want double take mirrors on all my future bikes. Again, it's about that versatility and convenience. I don't want to because I'm OCD, but if I wanted to change this, get it out of the way, if I hit something and it got moved, I could just bend it. I have them right in the perfect spot. These are a sponsored part, so thank you, Double Take. And the original design had a 6 to 8 inch ram mount arm. I remember those. Now it has a more proprietary design. It looks less like it was put together with ram parts. The ball sizes are different, and it makes it easier to where the base ball will hold on stronger and it won't wear off over time, like I guess the old ones did. And then this top one is a bit smaller, so it's a bit easier to move. And then these quarter turns, if you call these, are very nice. No, I ruined my perfect mirror positioning, but that's okay. Done. You know what? Screw it. Let's say you're one of those kids who rides with the left mirror only. That's pretty cool. That's a new favorite part of mine. While we're on the mirrors, I should talk about the convex mirrors. You see those tiny little mirrors on top of the mirrors? Those aren't double take mirrors. They're aftermarket cheap little things that I've been putting on my bikes for a while, at least the adventure or off-road bikes. That inside part of the mirror is usually your shoulder, so you know where you are relative to what's behind you, but that's dead space. And so I put the convex mirrors on the insides of my mirrors. If you're at a light, you're on the highway, whatever, you'll see the guy coming up in your blind spot before you see him in the regular mirror. The reason I use them is because why not? It's free real estate. I'm not gonna say go and put these on your sport bike, but I mean also, if you have room, why not put 1 or 2 on your bike? I think they're useful. Now, if you've watched my videos, you would have seen this, and several of you have asked me about it. You're like, what's this remote down here? This is called the Chubby Buttons remote. I've been putting these on my bikes for a few years now, and what it does is exactly what you might imagine. It's literally just volume up, down, play, pause, forward and back, but just big buttons. Do I need it? No, but it's an option, you see. You can control your music with your headset by either speaking to it with voice commands, touching your headset, or touching your phone while you're riding. But the easiest way to use your music controls and not take your eyes off the road is with your hand controls. So I always put it on my left handlebar immediately close to my instrument cluster so I can just move my thumb over and control the music. I don't even have to look because you can feel what button is what. It's a very convenient way to just control my music and whatnot, because I do usually listen to music when I ride. That part is sponsored finally. I've been buying them for years, and they finally sent a couple to put on my bike, so thanks so much. GI Honda 00 got the windshield for me. So this is an aftermarket Puig? I always say Puig. Windscreen and an extension. Actually, before I do that, this is a great time to grab this. Here's the stock one, but have my brother do something we've been doing on my bikes for a while. Sandblast the inside, paint the inside black, and you have a black windshield. I always do this to the stock ones just to make them look cooler, and or I will actually cut them down to the height that I want and then paint them, and now I have this. But I wanted this because I was traveling across, states, riding for hours at a time on the highway. When I test rode this bike and then when I bought it, I realized pretty quickly, yeah, the wind can get to you. So I was like, as a tall rider, I need a bigger windscreen. This made the ride to Oklahoma so much better, and whenever I travel, this mamma jamma is going to go on. But when I ride around town, I use this, and I wanted to grab it so you can see the height difference. It's not twice as tall. I'd say it's about 175% of this. But I needed that height because on the highway for a long time, yeah, I'm getting knocked around. But in town, I'm used to riding a super naked with no protection, and I love air. I like having my visor up, my glasses on. I want all the air, so I didn't want to get rid of this, but you know, so now I get the best of both worlds. I'm talking way too long about these parts. I wanted to just, but all right, I'm trying. If you don't own this bike, you probably won't even see what's aftermarket and what's part of the bike. But these are tank pad grips from Tech Spec. I always call them Tech Snake for some reason. Yeah, Tech Spec. I've had these on my bikes for years. The next one is this seat cover. Well, this was interesting. Here's another first. So this one's from Cool Covers, not sponsored. There are two companies that make these airflow seats. One of them is called Airflow and one of them is called Cool Covers. Cool Covers was the only one who made one for this bike. I heard nothing but good things about them. It's like, fine, I'll try it. As I get older, I care more about what works well rather than what looks good. And I gotta be honest, before I got it, I thought, it's gonna look not good. Now that I've seen it on the bike, I'm like, that looks good. But beside the point, what does it do to help you? It's supposed to keep your butt cool and or dry, and maybe add more cushion. Does it work? Yes. It's gonna be a new part that I'm gonna put on every time. My friend Nolan put these tires on. He gave them and put them on. These are the Motaz Tractionator Adventure tires. I like the Dunlop Trail Max Mission. I love those. And I've done the Shinko 804, 805s. And I was like, well, you know, I've done the 804s on a few bikes. I've never tried the Tractionators. Let's try them. And unsurprisingly, in the dirt, they're rather excellent. The thing is, I am not a dirt rider. I rarely go in the dirt. I'm an 80-20. I'm 80% street, 20% dirt. That's a fair assessment. So they're more off-road tread than I need. If you're riding at least 50% dirt, yeah, man, put them on. However, the cons, you may have guessed this, they are loud. And if you're on uneven roads, like grooved concrete or something, it likes to find the line and then fart around. Also, 80 miles an hour, allegedly, you can get a death wobble. Get this, it's not like a knee slapper wobble, but like, uh-oh, passing this semi is pretty hard. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I have gotten it to where like, I need to lay off the throttle. I'm between two semis, but my choice is either wobble my way through here or just let off and I'm kind of stuck and then just back up. Anyway, tires are important and they're a new part I've never tried, and I thought I should get my impressions about them. Geez, I talked about it way too long. Discovered a limitation with the camera. It can only record for like 10 minutes at a time, and I can't see what it's recording, so I had no idea that it stopped. So let me record all this stuff again. So as a bonus, these giant loop bags on the back and here on the front, they have specific names. I don't know what they are, but these were sponsored parts from an older motorcycle, the Zero, and since these were just sitting on that bike for so long, I thought, I have perfectly good luggage, why don't I put them on this bike? And I'm glad I did. So these are kind of meant for like dirt bikes or small bikes, not a medium bike, but I'm happy with them, especially the tank bag, because it fits perfectly between this small space of the handlebars and the fuel cap. And yes, I could have gotten a bigger tank to go over the fuel cap and then lift the tank bag every time I fuel up, but I hate doing that. So this is a good size. And these are compact. I keep everyday items in here like tools, and then water and food or whatever extra stuff I need here. And then it has a little MOLLE system on top. I like to put my glasses case and attach to that. And it keeps everything out of the way of the rear seat. So if I want to slide my butt back and stretch, I can totally do that. And it doesn't block the top rack, even though the top rack is close to the bike. I will say though, this apparently not waterproof. I keep my electronic stuff in there, and luckily everything was okay, but they were soaked. When we were in Oklahoma and it just rained, everything here, good, everything here. Okay, so a couple extra things. This fuel door has this dumb thing where it all just comes out, and then you have this fuel door you gotta put somewhere. When I was looking for some extra hardware, I came across somebody on Etsy who sells a 3D printed flap thing. So now when you take the fuel door off, the cap just folds and hangs here instead of you having to put it somewhere. Now I have nets, so I can just do that. That's awesome, but that's nice. It's supposed to go toward the ignition, but that's where my tank bag is, so I have it fold this way. Nice little upgrade. Speaking of little upgrades, now look at this net. I love, love, love cheap things that you get way more than your money's worth on. Nets are one of those things. They're so darn useful, inexpensive, and versatile. I have a net for the top of the top rack that folds up in front of the top case. I have a net on top of the top case. I have a net inside the lid in top of the top case. It doesn't really count as a part for the bike. I just wanted to praise nets for a second. Overall, I'd say that this part is a net positive. So to recap, the must-haves, the things I've had on my bike forever and will always have. Tank pad grips, crash protection of some kind, convex mirrors, and the chubby button remote, and now some new parts to add to the must-have pantheon. The quad lock system, I'll have that all the time, double take mirrors, and a cool cover for the seat. Those are all my must-haves, and the next bike I do, hopefully, will have all of those things. So this bike pretty much has everything that I need. In fact, it has more than I need. But if I were to do more parts, the next thing I would want is bigger foot pegs. It would help a lot. It could do with a full exhaust system. It would help it come alive. It doesn't need it, you know, it's fine, but that'd be nice. I guess a pannier system, you know, but then I'd have to get rid of this, and I don't wanna. But if I were to go on a big trip, like, you know, multiple days, riding the bike to somewhere, I don't wanna put everything in here. I don't wanna have stuff on top of the bike. I want stuff down low. It would have to strap stuff on top. I have a lot of things I wanna say about the bike, because I'm taking notes as a new owner of this bike, but I'm gonna do that in a completely different video. And I would like to make a video talking about the helmet and the parts, specifically the camera, because I get lots of questions about it. But hopefully this video was helpful for some of you and entertaining to the rest of you. Appreciate you all. I hope you're all doing well and being good, and we'll see each other later. Bye.